by a show of hands, who here is going to sign up for school? Man, you talk about peer pressure being tough. Everybody's sitting there like that, and I'm waiting for somebody to raise their hand. Nobody raises their hand. I said, shit. I go to school, and hey, I don't want to go to school. Here it is, I'm 37 years old. I got a second-grade education. I ain't feeling school tonight. But I'm a con man. I'm a street person. I'm a liar. I'm a con. I'm all of these things. I said, yeah, I'll take your program. I'm thinking if I sign up, raise my hand, that I'm going to be out of there in 3 months. If I would have known later on that I'd spent over 5 years there, I wouldn't have signed up for nothing. So what I do is I raised my hand, and everybody, people said, Jerry, what's up with that? I said, don't you be worried about it, because they know they were going to step to me, because I'm a killer. And they know I would have took them down. It didn't matter what that. Some of them guys you got some kind of guys that are fake killers, pretend they kill somebody by accident and stuff like that. They know what I would have done to them. I mean, they're doing all kinds of vicious stuff in prison. So I built up my reputation in that. So I raised my hand, and 2 other guys ended up raising their hand with me. So we ended up going to school. I ended up going, signing up for a GED. A couple months later, just like some of you guys, went and took the test, and I passed it. So I went to front of the committee. I said, man, I'm ready to go back to Attica, or wherever I want to go. I said, I'm rehabilitated and all that other stuff. And they said, oh, you got to come better than that. You got to take some more programs. I said, man, I didn't want to take some more programs. I'm playing the system. Well, back then they had college programs in prison. They eliminated all kinds of college programs in prison because what they discovered is that, first of all, very rarely do college-educated people ever go to prison. They have options. They learn how to use their mind for discipline and everything else. And very rarely do college-educated people, but also people who were obtaining college educations while they were in prison. They were getting out of prison and they weren't coming back. For those of you who know, prisons are big business, just like rehabs are big business. They need people to keep coming back, keep their beds full. That's what it's all about. So I'm over there. I know I'm a retard. I know I'm all these other things. I said, well, let me just go down there. Maybe they'll be impressed if I try to sign up for college and all that. You know what I discovered at the age of 37? I never, ever was mentally retarded. I was almost on a genius level. All of those clinical diagnoses that I had been given as a child, they were all wrong. Every single one of them was wrong. I went through my whole life believing what these people told me. And they used to tell me, Jerry, you're going to end up in prison someday. And they were told to me so many times, I got to the point, at first I said, no. Then after a while, you know what I used to say? I don't give a shit. I don't care. So I became what other people wanted me to become. And I just got so caught up in the thing, and I started going to college, and I started learning psychology and sociology and criminology and all these other things. And many years later, and many prisons later, I stand before you now with 5 college degrees, amongst them 2 master's degrees, one in urban ministry, the other one in healthcare administration. I majored in psychology and sociology and criminology. And the most amazing thing about when I started studying this stuff, I came to understand that person in that picture. I started understanding about him. I started understanding about my mother, about alcoholism, and about her promiscuity. And more than anything, I started looking closely at these people in prison that I used to want to be like him, that I used to look up to. And then when I started really looking at their character, and I found that most of them were pieces of shit. And I said, man, I truly didn't want to be like them anymore. And I started going to school and I started going to these therapeutic programs. But I'll never forget the night that I went back to my cell one night. I was about 39 years old. You're talking to somebody who never ever wanted to be anything but a criminal and a savage one and a thug and a hoodlum and all that. And I go back to my cell and I'm sitting there, I got all my books from class, put them on my bed, and I'm sitting there. I said, is it possible that someone like Jerry Balone could become something other than what I had become? And that was the turning point of my life. It was just such an amazing thing. And I said, because then I'm thinking about the peer pressure. I said, I don't want to be a thug no more. I don't want to be recognized as being a killer and a gangster and a hoodlum and a retard because I ain't any of them. So I started taking these courses and I started doing all this reading. And I started reading about it. And one of the things I had the hardest thing for me and the hardest thing for most people in prison, hardest thing for you guys is when you screw up, you look to make an excuse for why you did what you did. You know what I used to do? When I went to see my counselor one time, I said, Jerry, why'd you kill those people once you realized they was in the house? I said, because I didn't care. And first of all, if they would have went to Florida like they were supposed to, I wouldn't have killed them. And that guy down the street should have minded his own business. And that judge who sentenced me was a piece of shit, and the DA who prosecuted me was a piece of shit, and those cops that arrested me. I was caught up in the thing. Everybody was a piece of shit. Everybody was to blame. That's what you get caught up. That's what the system teaches you to do. It's easy to blame your childhood and your circumstances and everything else. But where my change came about is I realized that even at the age of 8, I always knew right from wrong. I just chose to do wrong. And once I accepted this, and I said, wow, so after when I started listening to everybody around me, and you could probably have people in here. Why isn't everybody here today? Why have you been missing it? Are your excuses valid? And you know, from that day forward, I've never made an excuse for my family. I tell people exactly how my life is, what I've done, how I've done it. I started going to school, and you know, I've been the most blessed person. One day, God comes by myself. My original sentence was 50 years to life, which meant that I had to serve 50 years before I come eligible for parole. One day, the guard comes and puts a letter on my bars. I get up there from the inmate records coordinator, telling me that 25 years have been taken off my sentence. Most unbelievable thing you could ever do. So instead of being eligible for parole in 2020, I became eligible for parole in 1995 after 25 years. Now I go in front of the parole board in 1995. So you guys are a little too young. You probably wouldn't know. Man, he came into office. He was this guy. He got elected during the height of the crack addiction. We had back in the early 90s, mid-90s, we had a real, that's when crack first came out, and all the gangs and everybody they were just, man, it was Dodge City. Everybody was just killing each other and all this other stuff. And we had a governor that was against the death penalty. Tacky came in and said, listen, I'll solve that problem. If you elect me, I'll kill all of them. You kill somebody, I'm going to kill you. And this is what the people wanted to hear. So they elected him, and then when he got into office, he eliminated all the college programs. He eliminated parole for people with crimes like mine. He says, under my watch, no convicted murderers are getting out. So he was in office for 12 years. Just so happened, he came in 95. That's when he came in. That's when I went to my first parole board. And he left at the end of 2006. I went to the parole board in 2007. We got a new governor, Eliot Spitzer. I don't know some of you guys, again, if you don't follow politics, Eliot Spitzer liked women too much, and he ended up getting caught in some scandals. But while he was in, he tried to do some good things. Same thing with George Alexander. We had gotten a new parole commissioner, and they tried to come in there. They believed that there were many people in prison that no longer belonged there, and that they should be given a possibility if they could convince the parole board that they weren't. Every time I went from a parole board, all they ever wanted to do is talk about him. And then I went to 7 parole boards. And every 2 years, my first parole board, they would give me a decision. I'd go in there for 10 minutes. They'd send me a decision in the mail. We're hitting you for your instant offense, killing those 3 people. We're hitting you for the nature, for your previous criminal history, from all my previous arrests, and they hit me for my institutional conduct. 6 times in a row they did that. Eliot Spitzer comes in there, got new commissioners. I go in front of them. I convinced them that I wasn't that person no more. August 14, 2007, they put me outside the gate of Fishkill Correctional Facility. I'm 55 years old. I had never ridden a bike. I had never went swimming. I had never ridden a bus by myself. I had thousands. I had never held a cell phone or a computer. I could list thousands of things that I had never done. It's like I had come from another planet. They put me outside the fence. They says, I gave me 29 conditions of parole. If I ever drink a beer, if I smoke a joint, I get home late 5 minutes, I leave my house 5 minutes late, I go back to prison for the rest of my life. They put me outside the fence. They says, you got to take 4 buses to get back to Buffalo, and if you miss any of those buses, we'll put a warrant out for your arrest and bring you back to life. You got to imagine, I'm coming out of prison. I got 2 duffel bags, they give you these potato bags. I got 2 potato bags. I'm standing there, but I've been so institutionalized. You got to remember, in prison, they tell you everything. You never do anything. They tell you when to go to commissary, when to get up, when to go to the yard, when to take a shower, when basically everything they tell you to do. So I'm standing out there, and I'm kind of hoping somebody will come and tell me what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm stood there for a half hour. Eventually a van comes, they take me to the bus station, get me on my first bus. Make a long story short, I hate the buses. I
God, it took me 12 hours to get into Buffalo. I get into Buffalo, I didn't know where to go. I had to go to a halfway house. I was going to this place called Cephas, it's over on Abbott Road. And as soon as I get in the bus station, there's a phone over there. I got $150 in my pocket. That's all I got to start a new life. And I go put about $5 in the phone. I couldn't make that sucker work. They didn't have phones like that when I went to prison. So I had to wait for some guy to come by to Mystic, and you make call this number. 3 guys from the house come pick me up. One of the guys, someone who had been in prison with me for 28 years. He had got out, he's been out a couple of years, and feeling pretty good. He's the one that helped me get into this home. So they asked me if I was hungry. I said, yeah, I'm starving. They said, where do you want to go? I said, I don't care where I go. I said, I had never had a Big Mac or a Whopper. I'm going to eat all that stuff when I get back. They end up taking me to this restaurant called The Wayside. I don't know if you guys ever been in. It's over in South Buffalo. I'm going in this restaurant. It's like 9 o'clock at night. There's 4 of us. 2 black guys, 2 white guys, and a beautiful young girl comes up to the table. She got a pad in her hand. She said, gentlemen, what do you guys have? My friend that had been in jail with me said, well, give my buddy here anything he wants because we're celebrating. And she's just being nice. She says, really, what are you guys celebrating? He put my business all on the street. I just did 37.5 years, man. He's out here now. And this is the God's honest truth. This is the way my life has been. A lot of times I figure, my life is so messed up and I've been there. And I've been blessed in a lot of ways too. And she looked at me and she said, is your name Jerry? And I'm sitting there with these 3 guys. I said, all right, it's my first night out. They're going to play a joke now, baby. So, I got a sense of humor. I said, I'll go along with it. And she looks at me and she says, you're my great uncle. It comes to find out that she was my niece. I ended up standing up for a wedding and everything else. But the bottom line is that my mother had 6 children with 5 different men. And as all my sisters and brothers are all messed up, man. They didn't end up in prison, but they're all screwed up. We do suffer from the sins of our parents, whether we want to or not. Some of you guys might be making babies and having babies, and just because you can make them and have them doesn't mean that you should be doing that. But anyway, I'm sitting there, but when my nephews and nieces were all growing up, all they ever knew is that they had 3 uncles who were murderers. I have a cousin who just got off death row in Florida. He's got life with no possibility of parole. My other cousin's over in Elmira, correctly. The day he turned 17, he ended up joining a gang, and he killed 2 people that night. And he got 50 years to life. He ain't getting around it like I did. He got to do those 50 years unless some law comes down the name. So you might say it's a genetic trait, but you know what it is? There are a lot of people who believe that criminology is a genetic trait. I'm here to tell you that it isn't. Either you want to be a criminal or a thug, or you don't want to be. I meet so many young kids, and I go in there, and I meet a lot of people that actually brag that their mother's in Bedford Hills or Albion, or their father's doing time in Comstock, and their uncles, and they start talking about all these things. And my message is really what I try to go around saying is that if you have a history of family members going to prison, it stops with you. You ain't going in there to follow them. And since my release, I went back, stayed in the halfway house for 100 days. I ended up living on Bristol Street. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Went to Fillmore area. That's where I live right now. When I moved back to my streets, I used to live on Clarendon Night, 2 streets away, and my crime happened on Oak Street. So within a 3-block radius, I came back to my neighborhood 37 years plus later, thinking people forgot what I did. And when I came back to my neighborhood, they wasn't feeling me at all. Man, I used to walk down the street, there's word got around pretty good, and there's mostly all thugs and criminals in my neighborhood, but they're looking at me, like they're all right, like they Christians are doing all the right things. But I walked down my street, I was all fucked up when I got up, one of the guys who worked out every day of my incarceration. I walk down the street, people be out there with kids and their wives and girlfriends sitting out there. By the time I get to my house, the whole street would be deserted. I hear windows closing, like I was like a walking slave. But you know what? I kind of expected that, And again, I said, well, I'm not going to let that bother me. I said, I'm going to do the right thing. In my neighborhood now, everybody knows me. I probably did favors for everybody in my neighborhood. I saw the street. I ended up doing like a thing where we clean the streets up and I've done a lot of good things. But mostly everybody in my neighborhood are ex-convicts. A lot of these ex-convicts, as you know, they've been through nothing in prison, all lift weights. their whole business. They coming out here all geeked up and that, and all these little kids start running up to them like they're heroes. And they're telling these little shorties and telling them, listen, you ever been arrested? You ever been to Eastbury? Oh, get away from me, you're soft. I don't want to hang around with nobody like you and all this other thing. But most of these guys coming out of prison have hidden agendas. Most of them are not like me. Most of them know that when they come out here, they've been out on parole many times already. They know that it doesn't work. They know that nobody's going to give them a job. So their goal is, one guy will tell you before they leave prison, when I get to the streets, I'm going to make as many babies as I can. I'm going to do as much drugs as I can. I'm going to commit as many crimes as I can until they catch me and I go back into the system. And that's just the way it is. And they come out here and they're all that, and they go back to recruitment. It's like me. I say, I'm 50 years old. I got out at 55. I'm not looking at no women that are 55 years old. I'm looking at young, sweet things like you guys. You know what it is? And a lot of these guys, well, they got to be over 21 in my case. But with these guys, they don't care. You're 12, 13 years old. That's just the way they live. And they're coming out here, and to seduce you ladies, first thing they can do, first thing most guys coming out of prison say, they're going to get some drugs, come out here, give everybody some freebies, get you hooked on it, and then they know they got you in your pocket for the rest of their lives. So they're doing all those things and all that. And you know what the thing that bothers me the most is that a lot of these guys are coming out here trying to portray something that they weren't in prison. A lot of them, when they went to prison, they became somebody's girlfriend in there. Yeah, and they was giving up their booty, and they was doing other things, because and then they come out here talking all that gangster stuff. I mean, I knew how they were living. And in there, a lot of them couldn't go to the yard, because if they went to the yard, someone would have beat them down, because they don't know why they're snitched on somebody. There's just some foul stuff in there. And then they come out here and they try to make everybody think they was all about this. And they try to glamorize prison life. I go down to parole, and I'm sitting there, and guys that start talking about in there, man, what jail was you in? And the guy says, no, when I was in Dannemora, I was in, oh man, that's a soft-ass candy jail. I did all my time in that. They get where it's like become an honor that they've done max time in all these shit prisons. And people always say, Jerry, what was the best prison and what was the worst out of those 17? And I give them the same answer every time. Every single one of them sucked. Because you know what? In jail, it's meant to degrade you. You can be the biggest killer, the biggest thug, the biggest all that. When you go to jail, I guarantee all of this, that if you went to jail, you guys would go to Elmira, you ladies would go to Bedford Hills. You go there, you do your orientation. Girls, you could stay in Bedford Hills, or you go down here, they all be under the counter. And what's happening is that they usually send you as far away from home as possible. I guarantee you that within 6 months to a year, all of your families and friends will abandon you out here. They'll say, you know what, girlfriend, you did that crime, you gotta do that time, we'll see you when we get out of here. We love you, we send you big hugs, but you gotta handle that. But what happens in prison, you make $3 a week. Man, you don't earn no $3 a week, man, unless you're giving up your booty or doing something else like that. And that's what people do. Some people do that. They wash people's socks. They get a bucket and they wash people's socks. And they do all kinds of other stuff in there to degrade themselves. And then you get other people say, listen, I ain't giving up booty, I ain't doing this, and they do that. So what's happened is they get involved in the #1 activity in prison to make money, and guess what that is? Same thing out here. Where do you make the most money? Selling drugs. You get caught up in drugs. See what costs? You get a $10 bag of heroin out here in the free world. You smuggle it into prison, you can get $100, $150 of that. Drugs are big money in jail. I mean, everybody's trying to lock it down. So, again, if one of you young ladies out talking to you to come visit me, I say, listen, girlfriend, we're going to make some money. I'm going to show you how to bag this stuff. I'm going to have one of my friends out here in the free world come to your house, show you how to do it. Get the camera put up. I'm going to show you how to smuggle it into the visiting room. You get in the visiting room, what a lot of guys do is they have the girlfriend or whatever come to smuggle. The girlfriend go to the machine, get the contagion, put the balloons in it. They'll sit at a table and swallow 50, 60 balloons. Then when they get back to their cell, what they do is they drink a bottle of shampoo and they vomit up most of them. Whatever they don't vomit up, they end up having to wait there a couple of days and they go get the rest out of the toilet bowl. A lot of guys don't do that anymore because one of them balloons, if they open up inside of you, so many people in prison were dying because, I said, girlfriend, make sure you wrap the things up. And you ain't got no time. You're in a business room. You got to watch for the cops. Got everybody all in your business. So you just swallowing them things. You don't know if they're tied up the way they're supposed to. So the balloon opens up. It just opens up. But most of the people in prison, the degrading things, that's why when people come up here and they talk about that life, most of the people, you go to prison now, when I first went to prison, if you got caught with a bag of heroin or money, handcuff key, or knife in your cell, you get 7 years in a box. If you get caught with a bag of heroin in your cell right now, they take you to outside court and give you 7 years. They do everything. They give you 5 years in the box. They give you all this crazy time. So, what's happening is that a lot of people in prison, they don't swallow balloons no more. Mostly all the contraband in prison, in a men's prison, is carried up his rectum. If he has cash money, if he has razor blades, if he has drugs, anything, it's caught up there. That's what they do. They carry it up their head. I know guys that can play handball with knives up their butts. I mean, once again, that's the reality of prison life. Some people that, I don't know, Papillon, if any of you guys ever watched the movie or read the book, you learn about, let's talk about back then in prison. But prisons like that are like that now. It's a brutal world. Let's like, for instance, now you got a right to tell me I'm a killer. I'm trying to hide from my past or anything. But when you guys came to visit me in Addison, you know what, that's because I'm a nice guy. And I'm a nice guy. You probably would enjoy coming to visit me, because I'll try to keep you from coming in there and getting a cell in there. So, why don't you just come to visit me in Attica or any other prison? Now you come to visit me, you brought me a package, we had a good visit, we eat sandwiches and all that. Now when you leave, everybody, I don't know if any of you guys have been arrested. If you have, you can kind of relate to what I'm saying. Is that after my visit, you guys go home. They say, all right, we all have to go back into the back. And then they put me in a cube. They put me in a little cube, and then some guards come and stand in front of me. So I'm about to give you some instructions, and you will follow them exactly as I'm going to give them to you. I'm looking at this guy. I know I could just do whatever I wanted to do. Or some young punk-ass kid. And here it is. He says, all right, put your hands at your side. I'm standing there. So take off that sweatshirt. Take off the sweatshirt. Got some rubber gloves on. These first kid goes for everything. Puts it there. Take off your pants. T-shirt, underwear, left sock, right sock. Ladies, you guys got to go through the same thing. After you're standing there butt naked, there's no instructions. Put your hands back at your side, take your fingers and run them through your hair so they're all looking all the way in your hair. And then they make you do one left here, right here. Back in the day, say for instance, you guys go to prison. Now you know you go to yard, especially way back when. You know you're going to go to yard, and some of you might not know anybody in the yard. And you can't get a knife, and you can't reach out like I reached out. I said, man, I don't want to go out in that yard without a weapon. So you know what guys used to do? They go on a visit, their wives, their girlfriends, their mothers, their aunts, whoever come to visit them. They say, listen, Ma, or girlfriend, whoever comes to visit you, next time you come in here, you gotta give me some razor blades. So at least when I go to yard, I got something to represent myself with. So what happened is that women used to be able to go to prisons, and if they walked through the metal detector, they had the underwear bra on, and they would beat. The guard said, young lady, you got an underwear bra on? She said, yes, sir. All right, you can go through. And what happened is that these women would smuggle in the razor blades. They get in the visitor room, you go out and get a sandwich, take the cellophane, you take it, and you stick it up under your lip. Same thing with cash money. You can come to visit me. I said, girlfriend, next time you come to visit me, bring me a $100 bill, and roll it up, the long way, roll up, and stick it up under my thumb. I could turn that $100 bill with it's called loan sharking into $200 for the $250. So cash is king in prison. Not supposed to have either weapons or cash, but people got it anyway. So eventually, anything that prisoners learn, the guards started doing learn. This guy was getting handcuff keys and all that. Now when you do a strip search, any of you guys ever been to a strip search, what they do is they make you lift up your lip all the way up, your bottom lip all the way up, and make you open your mouth. Here's this person standing in front of you, looking all in your mouth and everything else, looking at every inch, and then they get down in the crotch area, and say, all right, lift up your private areas. And they got no shame about looking at your private areas. That's their job when they do that. Because you got people that take rubber bands and they'll get flesh-colored balloons and they'll put them down there. They just do prisoners do every kind of crazy thing. And for you ladies, it's even a little bit more degrading. They put a mirror on the floor. They can put your hands like that and they can get down in the cross. Every time you get down to a cross, you got to cough 3 times while they're trying to look up inside to see if you find anything up there. And for us guys, after they look at your nutsack and everything else, they tell you to turn around. They tell you to lift up your left foot first, then your right foot first, and then they get down and they cross like that. And then they tell you to reach around, grab your ass cheeks, and go like this, and they tell you to pull them up as far apart as you could. So they're looking up there to see if you pull up anything in your butt. And if they suspect that you pull up anything in your butt, what they do is they're going to escort you from the visiting room, and they're going to take you to a strip cell. and they're gonna come up there with the squad, and they're gonna say, listen, you got 3 options. You got something up your ass, you know we're gonna get it anyway, so you might as well give it up anyway. I mean, I ain't got nothing up there, I ain't got nothing. They say, all right, drink this stuff. They make you drink this liquid like in a half hour, it makes you take a shit. And they come in, they got no clothes, they make you sit in this little bowl, and they come in there and they got gloves on, and they don't have no, that's their job. They go through your shit to see if they can find any balloons or money or razor blades or anything else, and if they find it, they charge you with promoting prison contraband, you get a new case, and they're also going to arrest that person who came to visit you, or else you can be a thug and say, listen, I've had it, I ain't giving it up, I ain't drinking that stuff, do what you gotta do. You know what they do? Somebody will come from the side, squirt you with the mace, hit you with the taser, tie your ass down on a gurney, and the courts allow them to do this, and they put rubber gloves on, they spread your ass cheeks with a vice, and they go up inside of you, and they take it out. That's the reality of prison life. You know, and these guys come out of prison, you know, talk about, you're gonna go to prison, 37 and a half years, I spent 18 or more hours every single day in a cell. I have no idea what that's like. And out here, and I always hear people complaining, you know, one of the best things I couldn't wait to get out when I got out here was to get a refrigerator in my house. Because my refrigerator in prison was my toilet bowl. Because that's where every time I went to the commissary and I bought some cold cuts, bought some soda, bought anything that needed to be chilled, you have no place to do it, especially like in summer. You go in front of themselves, they're over 100 degrees in themselves, they're hot. So they're going to do with your food. So what you do, you go to commissary every 2 weeks. So you try to get enough food in there that might last you for the whole 2 weeks. So you get a bunch of, I used to get these little packages of turkey and some cheese, and they needed to be refrigerated. So what people do is you put it in a bread bag, and then you put it in a garbage bag, and you put it in your toilet bowl, and you put a pillow or something over the top of it. And then every time you got to use the bathroom, you take it out, put that in your sink, do what you got to do, get the cleanser, clean it. And there's guys in there that don't clean it with the cleanser out the way. They're sort of nasty, funky people as well. I'm sure you guys don't really like that. You know, it just bothers me so much when people think that prison is a rite of passage. And yeah, as a little kid, I did a presentation. Kid, good kid. You can see it. He said, man, he was caught up in this thing. He said, man, if I go to prison, will I be able to lift weights and will I be able to do this and do that? I said, man, somebody warped your thinking, young man. I said, you can lift weights anywhere out here. You can go build some concrete blocks. You can do anything. But that's all this kid was set up at. He almost has the mindset that he knows he's going to prison, but will he be able to lift weights right away? And we have to break that mindset. I try to teach people that prison is no rite of passage. There is not one thing good about being in prison. And when you see people bragging about that, man, you got to say, I don't know, man, there's something wrong with their thinking and their ideology and everything else. Man, let me tell you something. My journey since I've gotten out of prison has been so difficult. When I had all of this academic and therapeutic credentials, I thought for sure, man, somebody was going to want to hire me. Man, I go to interviews, I fill out the application. I never worked a day in my life out here. Never paid a bill, I've never done anything. And I actually have met so many wonderful people that say, Jerry, we would love to hire, but if the public found out that we hired a multiple murderer, we'd lose our funding, we'd lose this, we'd do this. And God forbid if somebody ever hired me, you know, I have to be so on point because I'm on lifetime parole. Every time I get on my computer, I automatically assume that my parole officer is monitoring. Every time I get on the phone, that they're monitoring. Every time I leave my house, that they're monitoring. I have what they call a zero tolerance. I have to be conscious of everything that I do for the rest of my life. But I go back to prison for the rest of my life, so I don't do any wrong. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't watch TV. I don't go to sporting events. But yet, I'm probably the happiest person that you'll ever meet. Let me tell you something. One thing I learned in prison, probably if you don't take anything that I take today out of any criminal thing, I would tell people, if you're going to be a thug and a criminal, you're going to be a criminal or a thug whether I approve of it or not. Nothing I say is going to make you do it. I'm just here to tell you the consequences. If you guys go to prison, man, you know, people say, Jerry, out of all the 37 years, what was the most difficult? I know a lot of difficult. But I like women. I was not a woman all the time. I wasn't a booty bandit. I didn't mess with sweet kids and none of that other stuff. So you're deprived of that. It's all about deprivation. Everything in there. You just fantasize about all the things that you want to do when you come out here. And then you hear about cell phones, and you hear about all this. I got one of these iPhones now, I'm moving up, man, I got everything.